Hello everybody, so this is Onshape number 5. We are going to be exploring how to do assemblies. So this is now, instead of looking at what we previously looked at being the making a bunch of parts, we're going to look at how we can make parts react together. So I've got the app open on my iPad first, and I'm going to show you once again. But step 1 is to open up that public document and make a copy, just like last time. So when I clicked that, it loads it up. And then right away, I'm going to click up at the top, the 3 dots, copy. And I'm going to call this Onshape 5 Basic Assemblies. We'll copy the workspace. Okay, let's get started with the steps. This one should be a little bit easier than the last. So it says first we're going to add an element and choose create assembly. So down at the bottom, everything we've done so far was in a part studio, but now we can do, if I click that arrow, click on the plus, we're going to add an assembly. So what this is this is an environment that has different controls. If you notice at the top, we've got different things to click, and now it also is looking at making parts relate to each other and move together, not just creating them. All right, so next it says to rename it hydraulic clamp assembly, and then we're going to insert the full assembly. All right, so I'm going to just tap it with my finger, hit rename. We'll call this hydraulic, was it component assembly? Hydraulic clamp assembly. Okay, so then we're going to click on insert. And then we want all hydraulic components. Yep, so I just clicked on hydraulic components, I hit the check mark, and now they're in here. And so now if I want to edit the parts themselves, I can go click on the hydraulic components tab down here, make changes to the parts, and then when I want them to be assembled together, I can click here, because now I can click on a part and I can move it out of the way. Because it's a bunch of separate parts that are all together in the same studio. Okay, next. First thing we always want to do is have one origin piece, and that's going to be kind of where we're referencing everything from. That's going to be the cylinder. So I'm going to click on cylinder over in my browser on the side, click the 3 dots, and say to fix. So now if I go to try to move this cylinder, I can't. Okay, but I can still move the other parts because they're not related to it. We're going to connect everything else relative to the cylinder. All right, so next, did it say to move all those apart? It didn't, but we can if we wanted to. So we're going to make a second instance of the O-ring. It says we need 2 of them. So I'm going to do it, click on the 3 dots next to O-ring and hit, we want to copy it. Let's see. See if I need to click on it down inside there. Okay, so next step, the instructions are saying that we need to make a copy of the O-ring. Now, I have not found a way to do this on the iPad, just making a copy of it. So what I'm going to do on the iPad is actually just insert another. So I clicked insert O-ring and then hit the check mark. Now it looks like it didn't happen. It's in the browser, but if I look, it is there. So what we can do is I'm going to hide the first O-ring in the cylinder so you can see it. I'm just going to move it so we can see that we've got two of them there. Just like that. So you can see that we've got two. Okay, so next we are mating the plunger to the swing arms. This is where we're actually starting our assembly. Again, it looks just a little bit different on the iPad. We're doing a fasten mate, and it's going to prevent motion between them. So I'm going to go to the mate menu, which is that one up there. I'm going to do a fasten mate, and I'm going to mate, it said, the top of the cylinder. So I'm going to highlight, just clicking and dragging, I want that point on this face. So I'm going to tap once on the face and then tap again on that point. Oh, so let's do it this way actually. It says I've got two selected. Let's redo. So I'm going to separate these first, just so that we can see a little bit clearer. So a fasten mate, the top of the cylinder, to select the center of that hole. If you're having trouble, you can first select an area and then select the point, like that. So fasten locks the two together. If I move one, the other will move with it. So now when I move one, they both move. Next step, we're going to do another fasten. We're going to do the O-ring directly to the cylinder, and it shows where they should be connected. It'll be a little tricky to see, so let's see if we can get it. So let's do this bottom O-ring first. Another fasten mate. I want the center of the O-ring, and it said we want it. You can see there's like this channel that's there, that channel. So let's see if we can select that first. See how we've got those 3 points, and I would assume then that we want it to be on that middle point. Just like that. That looks pretty well lined up. Let's do the same thing. Let's move this O-ring first so we can see what we're doing. Same thing again. So a fasten mate. So I just tapped it right here. Remember, your most recent tool is always going to show up on there on the iPad. I want the center of the O-ring. I'm going to select the groove first so I can then choose which dot, because you're not going to be able to move your cursor directly to it. And then to the middle there. Just like that. Okay, so the O-rings are fastened. Next, oh, we already did step 9. Alright, so now look at how we have these fastened together. So we have to do the bottom, and they gave us this what's called a section view. We want the bottom of the inside of the cylinder with the bottom of the plunger. Okay, so this one's going to be a little trickier to see, but we want the bottom way inside there, and then connected to the bottom of the plunger there. So, and this one is not a fasten, but a cylindrical, and a cylindrical will allow it to slide as well as rotate. So I want to select a cylindrical mate. I want the bottom of this plunger, and I want that mated to, and if you guys notice too, after I click the first one, sometimes you have to click on the rotation lock because it'll try to keep you from orbiting. But I want it on the bottom face all the way down there. So let's see if I selected it. There it is. So you saw how I went through the top and then clicked on it there, and then I'm just rotating my view to make sure that is what I want. So I've got the cylinder selected. I just want to move my cursor, make sure that the mate connector shows up. There we go. Alright, so before I hit solve, we have some other stuff we have to set here, and it's limiting, right? So right now what it's trying to do is it can rotate all the way, go through the object. So let me show you what I mean. If I hit the check mark here, and I grab this cylinder and slide it down, see how I can go through the object? We don't want that. So instead, what I'm going to do is in my mates menu, I got to go back and edit again, three dots, edit. If I scroll down, I need to turn on limits. And what this will do is just limit how it can move. So it says we can limit angles and we can limit distances. So let's see what it says. It says to set the minimum distance to -40, the maximum to 0. So that should be a -40. Maximum should be 0. There's no other changes on the angles. Alright, let's see what that does. So now if I click this and slide it, it can go up, it can go down, and that's all it can do. Awesome. We are all but done. So the last step that it wants us to do is to extend the plunger, and this is how we're going to check our work. So it wants us to have the plunger extended all the way up. We're going to look at our isometric view. So mine's looking like that. And then we're checking the center of mass at the Z. So it said to select all 4 or all 5 of your parts. Check your mass by clicking on the scale. It says my center of mass is 12.06 millimeters up. So let's just try to verify our work on that one real quick. It's not quite an answer, but we can see if that one would work. So 11.36. So I have a number that's incorrect somewhere, but close enough is close enough on this. So that's the end of video 5. Alright guys, so right when I ended that video, I just thought I would add an addition here just to make sure I can figure out what was going on with my check, why we had something incorrect. So I did discover what was going on. So here's what we needed to do. Our initial fasten mate that we did, that was the cylinder, not the cylinder, the plunger and the swing arm together, we had the wrong spot connected. So what I did was I deleted it and moved it so we could see, but they actually weren't perfectly lined up, and that's why we were having issues. So to fix it, I went to fasten, clicked on the center of the circle there, and then where I selected on this was actually, I clicked on this edge, and then I clicked on the center point there. So the other one actually wasn't, it technically wasn't all the way up. So before, your plunger wasn't all the way up on the swing arm. So now if I go back and look at my settings, let's make sure we're all the way at the top. We are. Let's select all 5 parts and check our mass, and there we're getting that 11.98 number. So that's just how we fixed it to get the exact right answer.